Alright, in this video we're going to look at a very basic way to start getting some of these values from PoseNet into our Ableton session. So let's start by opening up our Max for Live device. Remember, I'm using the PoseNet for Dummies example. And let's also start to think about how we might want to present this in our live device when it's open in Ableton. So let's start by right-clicking in the background of the patcher, open the inspector window, and selecting Open in Presentation like we always do. And the first thing we're going to need to add to our presentation is this Start and Stop button. Let's take the this comment as well, just for now. Right-click and Add to Presentation. Jump into presentation mode, and there we have it. We can put there wherever you like, resize it, do whatever. Might change it later. The label at least, but for now that's going to work. Cool. All right, so we can save that and get out of presentation mode. Now, let's look at the parameters we're going to want to try and use in our session. So let's start by just taking the nose as an example, and we have an X coordinate for the nose and a Y coordinate for the nose coming in here in these integer boxes. So we're going to start by using MIDI as a way to get these messages into live. So to do that, we're going to need to convert the number here into a MIDI number or a MIDI message and then send that into our live session. So to start with, let's create a MIDI format object. This one here. And this is going to take incoming numbers and convert them into appropriate MIDI messages. To get that out of our device, we're going to need to send the output over to our MIDI out. But instead of running a cable like that, we could use something like a send and receive object. So if we do send, and then I'm just going to give it a name, so MIDI out, and connect the output of our device there. And then over here, if I create a receive, and then give that the same name of MIDI out. Anything that I pass into this send MIDI out will come over here to the receive MIDI out and then go out our device. Cool, so let's look at the MIDI format object. What do we have here? A couple of inlets. This one takes, creates note on and off messages. This one does key pressure. And this one does control changes. Because we're going to have a continuing or like a continuous value coming from where my nose is detected by the camera, I think the most appropriate one would be a control change message. And you can see there it needs to receive two numbers at a time in a list. First the controller number and then the value. So we can do that. Let's use a live.numberBox to select the controller number. So that's going to be a number between 0 and 127. And then we've got our number coming from here, which is going to be the value of that continuous control. Also a number between 0 and 127. So to turn them into a list, because this needs a list, we're going to use a park object with two integers. We're going to connect that into the control change input here. And you can see the first number is the controller number. So we'll put that into the first or the left inlet on the park. And then the second number in our list needs to be the value, which we're going to take from the nose. Cool. So, could be as simple as that. Let's start by adding a few things to our presentation so we can kind of see what we're working with. So we'll definitely want to see the value that we're getting from our nose in our device. So add that to the presentation. Could be useful to see and be able to change the controller number we're using. So add that to the presentation. Let's go into presentation mode. Let's grab these boxes, and just for now, let's give them very basic names so that we can kind of know what they're doing. Actually, let's do that in our normal mode here. So if we create a comment and call this CC number, and just for neatness, I'm just going to add another integer box over here. That got a bit not as neat as I hoped. Just so we can see that number over here. And maybe what I'll do is, rather than presenting this one so that these can all stay there, I'll just present this one. Add to presentation. Let's copy this and call this CC value. Give that a capital N. Great. So we're going to have all these 4 things in our presentation. Go to presentation mode. And then we can drag these up here. So this is our CC number. This is our CC value. Remember, these are for both are just for the nose X and Y. So maybe we'll just do another comment for now, just so we know what's going on. This is nose X value. And we can save that. We can close it. We can turn on our PoseNet model. And we can see here that the values are indeed changing. And you can see that it's sending out some MIDI messages as well. Cool. So that's the end of this part. Maybe we'll do the next calibration in the next video.